Welcome back to mFiles Process Maps. This session is intended to give you a deeper understanding of the use of commands in the Process Maps Designer and in the map view. We'll show you how to extend and test your commands and how to use dynamic URLs with placeholders or metadata. You will learn how to connect your shapes with external links, views, and how to create commands that create new objects. There's an easy way to test the commands you have created directly in the designer. The Enable Command Icons button in the upper taskbar allows you to switch to a test mode that makes the icons in the designer active, allowing you to invoke the corresponding commands. Activate this button with a simple left click. Click again to deactivate this mode. This is useful if you want to continue to work on your shapes and do not want to be disturbed by a mouse over effect. When command icons are enabled, you can now click the icons next to your shape and jump directly to the linked actions. Visually, this is indicated by the color of the icons when you hover the mouse over them. We recommend that you test your commands from time to time to keep your process map up to date. Activation of the test mode is retained when saving the map, so you can also test the commands in the designer at a later date. Of course, you can also save the map and refresh it in the map view to test commands from there and to get a better impression of the navigation in your mFiles client. The commands are preset with automatic texts for their title and tooltip when they are created. If these contents are inappropriate, they can be easily changed. Click the pencil in the Properties menu to edit an existing command. Then simply click on the name of the command in the Edit Command menu. Inline editing is activated and you can overwrite the name with an individual entry. To call a custom URL in your process map, you can set a new command on your shape. To do this, select your shape again and open the properties on the right side. Create a new command under the Commands entry by clicking on the plus button. In turn, the Add New Command menu opens. After choosing an icon and trigger, select URL as the target. You will notice that the action list automatically changes to Show. In the lower window, you can now define any uniform resource locator, such as HTTP requests, or uniform resource identifiers, such as the mail-to schema, which can be converted into hyperlinks. mFiles internal links can also be used. These typically start with an mFiles, followed by colon and 2 slashes. If you are particularly interested in creating URLs, URIs, or mFiles links, you will find plenty of information on the internet or in the mFiles URL Properties user guide. In this example, we first create a mail-to with the email address someone@example.com. Click Add to close the dialog and test your newly created command. Another example would be the integration of a web service using a URL, such as Skype calls, custom maps on Google Maps, or direct calls or text messages using phone services. Many of the in-house applications today already include web interfaces that can be accessed directly via your process map through this feature. In many cases, it makes sense to work with dynamic URLs so that web services or mFiles objects can be called that match certain metadata or fulfill certain optional parameters. For this purpose, you can also create dynamic hyperlinks in the Commands window by integrating placeholders and metadata properties. Use the Input window to add a dynamic URL with placeholders instead of a static link. A documentation of the most important placeholders can be obtained from your mFiles partner. Typically, you will often use the mFiles internal placeholders, which are marked with %signs and in capital letters. As an example, the attributes of an object could be referenced using the placeholder property, followed by the internal property ID. This number can be found in your mFiles vault in the section Property Definitions. In our example, we use ID 1236, which points to the city property in our vault. We use this entry for a dynamic search in Google Maps. With the help of commands, you can also add new objects such as documents to mFiles. The special feature is that some metadata can already be provided when creating a new object from the perspective of a reference object. For example, you can create new documents for a department, or you can create new assignments from the perspective of a project, process, or a specific piece of equipment. It can be directly linked to the referenced object when it is created. To add this command, open the Add New Command dialog again and select Create from the Action drop-down list. Now, in the target area, you can provide the object entry with additional options. For example, you can select the object type and decide whether the newly created object will be linked to the one selected here. With the option Create from Template, you can choose from your mFiles templates, thereby the class attribute and further metadata are provided if needed. Click Add to complete the command and close the window. Let us see the result, enable the command and trigger its execution. With mFiles process maps, you can create a command that calls a mFiles view. As you know, views in mFiles can also contain so-called virtual folders, which are automatically built and maintained based on a property. In process maps, it is possible to dynamically access these views and their virtual folders. You can also choose whether the view should be displayed in the same window or in a new window. To do this, add a new command to your element and select View in the Target section. As you can see, all generated views from your mFiles client are displayed here. Some of the entries are marked with a plus symbol. In these views, there are groupings that you can select. Click the plus icon to see the subgroups and then select one. Of course, a grouping may contain virtual folders, but no objects. In this case, the message "Please select Superior node" is displayed. Select the desired view or grouping and close the dialog by clicking on Add. Commands can also be used to inject a view into a smart node for mFiles views or for charting. An element with such a command can serve as a button that remotely controls a smart node. This is the most efficient way if you want to cover a large number of different views on your map. First, select the target view that the smart node should adopt. Then select the tab Injection Target. Here you will find the name of the map you are currently on. Click on the down-facing arrow to get a list of all smart nodes on this map. Select the desired smart node and click on Path in the list next to it. Confirm your entries with Add. Let us check some of the results again, enable the commands and trigger their execution.